Just a quick recap for those of you who aren't familiar with Base. We're a Perth-based company, but heavily focused in East Africa. We developed the highly successful Kwale Operation, operationalised that in late 2013, and it's been an exceptional operation for us. High margin. It's one of the most profitable mineral sand operations in the world. And it's really established the model that we're now looking to apply to a very similar deposit, the Toliara Project in Madagascar. Just a quick update on Kwale. We started mining on the Central Dune. We've now finished that. We moved down to our South Dune in June of last year. That move went very, very successfully. We're up and running quite quickly, and now we're achieving, or actually outstripping all of our expectations around the performance of that ore body. And as a consequence, we upped our guidance now that we've got a lot more comfort with the way that ore body is performing. Now, the South Dune gives us ore through to about 2024, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. There's our guidance. Even though we're in our low-grade South Dune now, we're still a significant producer. Putting out about 350,000 tonnes of ilmenite a year, nearly 80,000 tonnes of rutile, and about 29,000 tonnes of zircon. That still places it right at the very top of the pile in terms of revenue to cash cost ratio, so 2.5 times revenue to cash cost. So it's an extremely profitable operation and runs very consistently. Industry average is about 1.7, and then when I talk about Toliara in a minute, you'll reference that when you see that there's no one above 3. So we're looking for extensional opportunities in Kwale. As I said, the South Dune gives us ore through until 2024. We've just started doing a feasibility study or a pre-feasibility study on the North Dune, which is that area shown in green, and we're exploring quite significantly around our area and would fully expect to be able to extend the life of Kwale to some extent. And we're also looking further afield in Kenya. We've got a couple of interesting project opportunities. The one that's probably of most interest to us is the one shown on the left-hand side there. It's about 70 kilometres away from our current operations in Kenya. Quite interesting rutile shows, and I guess the hypothesis we're testing there is that that's the origin of the rutile we see down at in our Journal deposit in Kwale. So turning to Toliara, we're basically taking all of the learnings from the Kwale project. The whole team that brought that into being is still with us, so we've been able to capture all the learnings from that. And we're now looking to apply it to a new project in Madagascar. Unlike in Kenya when we were trailblazers, and we're still 70% of the mining industry, Madagascar has quite a well-established mining industry, in particular with two very large mines, Rio's QMM operation and the Ambatavi nickel cobalt mine. So we're not trailblazing, but we're certainly the next project of national significance. Ore body is just a flat-lying surface dune, I guess. No overburden to remove. We just move a thin layer of topsoil and we're straight into the ore. That's the Dozer trap mining method we started with Kwale using, and before we moved to hydro mining. We'll be using this at Toliara because one of the features of Toliara is a very low slime content. Kwale is about 30% in the ore. This is about 4%. Mineral processing is very similar. We're starting with one concentrator to begin with because we'll be mining in a higher grade zone up against the escarpment. In about year 4, we move down to the ore body proper, at which point we'll build another concentrator and bring in another Dozer trap mining unit. At that point, we have the opportunity to scale the project up as well, and we're actually designing the mineral separation plant to be scalable because, as I'll show you in a minute, the ore body we're working with here is enormous and gives really good scale, really good scope for scale up over time. Particularly because we've got to build quite a large infrastructure package here. That's the big difference between Kwale and Toliara. They're very similar in mining volumes. This will ultimately be 19 million tonnes per annum, much the same as Kwale. It's about a 50-kilometre haul up to the port facility. But the big difference is the road at Kwale we didn't have to build. We're using the existing transcontinental highway. At Toliara, we've got to build that road all the way down to our port facility. Looking to establish a hybrid power system. We've gone a long way down that path, and we're completely comfortable with that as the right solution for Toliara. It's unlike Kwale, which is a residential operation. This one will be a fly in, fly out. While Toliara town and the area around it has about 250,000 people, it doesn't really have the sophistication of schooling and healthcare to attract the sort of people we want in the expatriate community working there. So we're doing it as a fly in, fly out. We have to build that road, as I said, all the way down. We have to build this bridge across the Fiorina River. And then our haul road basically continues all the way out to what's called Battery Beach, where we build a shed facility, very similar to Kwale, except 40% bigger, and obviously with a much longer jetty. In Kenya, we've got the benefit of Mombasa Port. We're in the port environment, so our jetty's about 80 metres long. This one's about 500. So there's about 150 million US in infrastructure needed to bring this project about. But once that's built, you don't need to change that again to increase the volumes going through it very significantly. At our starting scale of around 800,000 tonnes a year of ilmenite, if you stood on the side of that road, you'd see one truck about every half hour. So there's very significant scale-up capability for that infrastructure. The port itself is inside a lagoon. There's a fringing reef about 2 kilometres offshore, so it's completely protected from an ocean perspective. Still pretty windy, but it's quite a sheltered environment. So I was talking about the ore body that we're starting with. This is really what got us focused on this project, fairly obviously. It's technically straightforward, but it's also very large. When we acquired this project 2 years ago, the resource was about 800 million tonnes. We've done some work and some early drilling, and we brought that up to 1.3 billion. And that was still within quite a defined range. And then we took the measured and indicated component of that 1.3 billion tonnes, which was just short of 600 million. And that's what formed the basis of the project that we released the DFS on in December. And we've constrained the size of the operation at the moment to what we think we can sensibly get into the market in terms of sulphate ilmenite. And that translates to about a 780, call it 800,000 tonne per annum operation. On that basis, we've got 33 years using just half of the resource we have now. But we've done another 30,000 metres of drilling, more or less, over the last 18 months, and started stepping it out to the west, beyond where any holes had been put before by the prior owners. And we have just continued to hit a significant mineralisation. I mean, if you look at some of those depths, we're talking about 81 metres at 15.7% HM. Now, about 25 to 30% of that HM is garnet. So if we take that out of the equation, and we may be able to monetise that, you're still looking at a valuable heavy mineral grade of around 10%. At Kwale, we're mining 3.5 at the moment. So this is really pretty exciting for us, and it outstrips what we previously thought of as our high grade in this operation. So you can see the opportunity to increase the size, and I fully expect this to be a 100-year mine life in due course. Really healthy DFS. It almost exactly mirrored our PFS we put out in March, which is pretty pleasing from a process perspective, just higher level of confidence. So that sort of starter size project gives us an NPV of 652, post-tax real. Revenue to cash cost ratio of almost 3.2, way above anything else in the world at this point. And that was one of the real attractants for us, because if we learned anything from the market gyrations in our sector over the last sort of 7 or 8 years, is the importance of revenue to cash cost ratio and being able to have the latitude to navigate difficult times, and sitting right at the top is great for us. Very significant cash generator, $132 million free cash flow per annum, and quite consistent throughout the life. So where are we at? Heading towards what we hope will be a final investment decision in September. Assuming we hit that, we would see our first shipment leave at the very end of 2022. Key pieces of work at the moment. The big issue at the moment is we're just working through fiscal terms with the government in Madagascar. There's been a fair few gyrations in that. It would be fair to say that we've got the right direction of travel now. So I'm expecting that we'll get to a sensible resolution on that in the next couple of months. We're also working on our funding arrangements. We're well progressed on a debt facility, and we've got a couple of joint venture opportunities proceeding as well. So we've got a package of funding options which we think with Kwale cash flow will get us to where we want to get to. So, unique mineral sands company, very profitable operation in Kenya, fantastic development asset with a growth profile. We've got a really good reputation for our business model. We've done it before as a team. The entire team that brought Kwale into being is still with us, and we think that creates a pretty unique company in the mineral sand space. So, thank you very much.